Now last video, the last painting video anyways, you guys saw me working on a marble floor effect for a Studio McVeigh miniature that I had, and one thing that people commented on was the non-metallic metal. They thought that the NMM was kind of cool, and frankly the technique I used wasn't really your pro-grade style of NMM. So what I thought I would do in this video is, since I'm painting C. Hoffman here, I thought I would show you kind of a cheating way of doing NMM. Now, typically NMM is considered an advanced level technique, and there are already so many great videos on how to actually do NMM. But what I'm going to show you here is kind of a NMM for idiots, or a cheating way to do NMM. And one of the main factors as far as doing this easier way of doing it is picking the right models and the right areas for non-metallic metal. So I've got this Hoffman here, and as you can see, the parts that I would be looking at would be really the really just his sort of exoskeleton robotic legs and arm things that he has. And the reason why I think that it's good for non-metallic metal, at least the way that we're going to be doing it, is because there are lots and lots of breakpoints. Non-metallic metal gets really challenging if you have large, flat areas, because then you actually have to figure out your lighting scheme and apply your effects with great precision. But we're going to do that. We're going to do what's basically just painting by picking the right colors and applying our shading and our highlights effectively. So I'm going to do something different with this. Typically, I would, paint the this first and then do all the outlines. But since that's what we're focusing on, this video is going to be the metal parts. I'm going to go ahead and paint all of those first so that you guys can see. So let's get started. Okay, so you can see the first thing I did here was going for a brass color for the non-metallic metal. So I first base coated with beige brown, and I went with a pretty thin coat, as you can see, just focusing in on a base coat, getting a base coat down. So the next thing I'm going to do is, with that beige brown, I'm going to mix in some Vallejo model color yellow ochre. I don't know if you guys are familiar with my videos. I use yellow ochre a lot, and yellow ochre is going to drive me towards a more gold type color. So no real rocket science here. Just gonna add some yellow ochre to the mix here, to my beige brown, and keep it nice and thin. And this is going to be the first highlight. The first highlight is going to be most of the model, the vast majority of the non-metallic metal. So let me start highlighting that. I'll be right back in just a second. Okay, so here is the first highlight. It's kind of a coffee color. Nothing really too exciting to report right now. All I'm going to do from here is just keep adding more yellow ochre to the mix, and I'm going to go up probably probably just two more layers with this before I get to the next step. So let me get on that, and I will be right back. Okay, so I'm about, what is this, 4 or 5 layers in. Brought the highlights all the way up to pure ochre, yellow ochre. So it's kind of a gold looking model right now. But now we're ready to move on to the next stage. And the next stage is washing. I want to give this some shadow, and for shadow, for this brass effect, I'm using this Griffin Sepia. So let's knock that out real quick. You can watch that because it's super fast. So this is like just a fairly generous wash of Griffin Sepia, and it's gonna kind of give a burnished gold look to the miniature. You can see there, that's what that's doing, giving me a little bit of shadow and a kind of a reddish or ruddy tinge to it, without being really ruddy like say Ogre and Flesh would be. Griffin Sepia, as you know, is one of my favorite washes, and all production grade painters, not all, but most production grade painters live and die by their ability to use washes. So that's what I'm doing. Just using a little bit of wash here. So let's knock this out. Really like I think brass is the easiest of the non-metallic metals to do, and it's just a really cool trick to do. This version of non-metallic metal doesn't look as good as a professional style non-metallic metal, but you know what? I think it looks pretty cool. And I don't need to be super precise about where my highlighting's going, and I don't need to like freehand special effects. Some of the non-metallic metal you can see out there, especially the really good stuff, involves folks that can freehand lighting effects, and you know, I think it's awesome. I'd love to figure out how to do that, but as of today, we're just learning how to effectively, kind of how to cheat on non-metallic metals. So, here we go. Did I miss anything? So I'm going to check to see if I missed anything. I don't think I have. Things looking pretty good. So I'm just going to let this dry, and then right back to highlighting. So, back in, well, close up so you can see. Nothing too special right now, but back in just a minute. Okay, sorry I'm playing around with the eyes too. I figured while I was waiting I could do that, but this is now dry. So now it's time to actually start doing some of those effects of the non-metallic metal. So I'm going right back in with my yellow ochre, and now I'm going to do some really fine highlighting. So now when you're doing non-metallic metal, your highlighting is critical, and where you place those highlights is very important. So so you're really going to want to heavily favor the areas where light is going to be shining down on the model. So you can see right now, sort of carefully highlighting the top half of this, much more so than the bottom half. And this is normal highlighting 101. But you know, this is really the trick, is to trick the eyes into thinking that you've got light bouncing off of the top, or overhead lighting coming in, and that's what's really going to give you your non-metallic metal-like appearance. So I'm really just favoring this top half. The top half of the model is going to receive more highlights, things that are sticking out, like, you know, when you look down the model there, and you see how the two edges here are kind of protruding out from the center of the model. So these two edges are going to receive more highlights. And any other edges that are sticking out is going to receive some more highlights. So really, that's, for as far as this technique is concerned, that's where the skill of this technique comes in, is just being able to read where your highlights would come in, and be a little bit more precise than usual when you're doing your line highlighting. So anyway, let me knock this out and I'll be right back. Okay, so there's came back in, highlighted with the yellow ochre. You can see now the way I've placed the highlights on this, it is definitely favoring that overhead lighting scheme, so that the highlights are coming in higher or brighter at the top parts. There's almost no highlighting going on back here. So we're just about ready to go. And from here, it's really wherever you want to take this. What I'm going to do actually is I'm going to do one more really super fine highlight. And you don't have to do this. This already looks, you know, most people will buy that that's a non-metallic metal effect that you've got there. But I want to go just one more super fine detail on this, since, you know, I got the time. Why not? This whole sequence is going by pretty quickly. So what I'm going to do is take my yellow ochre and just go into a super light version of it by going about 50-50 with white. Then I'm going to take a super fine detail brush. This is my number 0. And just little tiny things, little tiniest little lines. That's all I'm doing. Just the tiniest little lines. And I'll be done. I'll be done with the brass anyway. Okay, and that's all I'm going to do, is just these tiny little lines here, and that's just going to give it the most subtle form of light bouncing off from an overhead lighting scheme. And you're not going to do that over the whole model. You're just going to do that where the most amount of light would be hitting this thing. And it's just the slightest little thing. I don't even know if you guys are going to get this on camera, but it's the last step that I do. I'm doing my faker non-metallic metal, and should make it look cool. So anyway, let's move on to I'm gonna highlight this, and then we'll move on to the steel looking parts and do some non-metallic metal steel. Alright, so onto the steel metallic part side of the exosuit here. I'm going to start with a little bit of this black gray. Another one of my favorite, most versatile colors in the Vallejo model color line. So all I did was just the joints there. some of the struts. That's about it. So I'm going to do that. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to highlight, is I want to move towards this color here, basalt gray. Now if you notice, I use these colors all the time, so these are just really good high utility colors. So I'm going to go with one highlight, which is sort of in between both of those colors. Then I'm going to highlight up to basalt gray, and then even a little bit higher than that. So be right back in just a second. Okay, here we go. That was very simple, by the way. Just black gray, then mix towards basalt gray, highlight with basalt gray, and then that super highlight with basalt gray and white. And that's it, really. That's how you do non-metallic metal. I think the key is really just picking the right areas to do non-metallic metal, and you know, just keep working with the model until you have a look that you like. You know, honestly, I could do a lot more to this, but you know, I'm pretty happy with it, and you know, it's not bad. It does look like non-metallic metal. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and finish painting this guy up, and I'll just show you the finished product at the end. The rest of this is really just standard painting of this guy. So I'll see you at the end. Alright, so here's the finished Hoffman model. I don't know why I'm talking about Marcus. That was on the chat. So as you can see, pretty simple overall scheme. I really didn't do anything fancy after all of that. So he's done. Just a note about the cheap, quick and dirty NMM. It's like I said, it's really about using natural breakpoints in your highlighting to accomplish what you want on the model. Overall, I think it looked okay. I mean, it's not this is not like a pro or display style model, but you know, not bad. It's I really didn't care for Marcus too much. Here we go again. I really didn't care for Hoffman too much, but you know, after painting him, I found him to be kind of fun, kind of just cool looking model, and you know, so that's it. He's still drying right now, so I'm not really trying to touch him at all. So that's it for quick and dirty non-metallic metal. Again, there are way better resources for doing this, but I wanted to show you a fast and easy way to do one. And this mostly has to do with selecting the right model and selecting the right types of projects for non-metallic metal. So that's it for this session, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.